Right now, 3 billion people are suffering from something that is not in any textbook. They are exhausted, but they're not actually sick. And what I discovered as a retired emergency room nurse will probably make you rethink everything you do at the end of a long day or a long week. Welcome to my home in the forest. Get cozy, grab a cup of tea, grab your favorite blankie here. We are going to chat about something that honestly, sometimes it even keeps me up at night and not in a good way. So today we're diving into what I am calling the rest epidemic. We're talking about the tech executives who literally studied casino psychology to hijack your downtime. And yes, that actually happened. What is happening to your brain when you think that you're relaxing, and spoiler alert, it's not pretty, and what 3,000-year-old practice might be the key to getting your life back. Plus, whether your evening scroll session is slowly rewiring your brain for misery, and plot twist, it absolutely is. But first, let me tell you about a patient who made me realize that we are all in.
I'm just editing the video right now, and I just want to pop in here and just let you know that every couple of months, the platform that is the YouTube, it will unsubscribe people. It just does this. I think it thinks it's cleaning, but it always ends up removing people who don't want to be removed. So please go ahead, check your subscriber status. This happens to everybody who makes videos, but I just want to pop in here because it's doing it right now, and I'll let you get back to it. So thank you so much.
So years ago, when I first started as an emergency nurse, I was a student nurse and I was working with another nurse in this one little kind of corner section of the emergency room department. And this lady came in and she was in her 30s. She was dressed well. She seemed like lovely. I know she was a mom, but she was a person who was very sick. In fact, she had such a bad UTI. Now, before you're like, oh, UTI. No. Such a bad UTI that she went septic. So if you've ever had a bladder infection or whatever, you know how hard it is to ignore. This woman was so busy that she ignored it to the point where it actually entered her bloodstream and she developed a much more serious infection. She was so ill, she had to be admitted. We had to be giving her IV antibiotics, checking her fluids, checking her vitals all the time. It's crazy. And do you want to know what happened? Is that this is a woman who was burning the candle at both ends. She had kids, she had a job, and she was running herself ragged to the point where she let her health go so bad. And she is just one of many, many people who I had dealt with in the past. I had a lady once who over Christmas decided not to take her water pill, as they call it, which is a diuretic for heart failure, because if your heart is overloaded, she was older, but she decided not to take it because she didn't want to be peeing too much over Christmas. Well, then she came in overloaded on her fluid, like her heart was at risk. This is what happens when so many of us, we work ourselves so hard. And this got me thinking over the past few years, because a lot of you have heard me tell the story about when I first started this YouTube channel back in 2019, and I was also a nurse at the time, so I was balancing both. And you might not realize this, but YouTube is actually a very busy thing. It takes a lot of time, and I was burning the candle at both ends. It took me over 3 years to even take a day off, and the problem was, even in that time, I was not doing it properly. I was not resting properly. It took me another couple of years, so not even that long ago, to realize how to properly rest, because I don't want to end up like that lady where I am pushing myself so far that I'm not even resting properly. So here's the thing that is haunting me, is that patient was not alone. I am not alone. So many successful people, or just people who are retired or staying at home, we're not taking care of ourselves properly. We might actually think that we're taking care of our health properly, but we are completely frying our brain. And there's one thing that a lot of us have in common, and that is that we don't know how to properly rest. And one of the things that has stolen rest from us is something that is probably sitting right in front of you. So what I'm about to tell you, it sounds like science fiction, but I promise you, this is a documented fact. So in the early 2000s, Silicon Valley had a problem. How do you keep people glued to their screens long enough to show them ads? So they hire the very best minds in psychology, neuroscience, and behavioral economics. So this is when think smartphones are starting to come in. These people, they literally studied gambling addiction, slot machine design, and even Pavlovian, like the dog, conditioning. So basically they took everything that casinos use to separate you from your money and they applied it to your phone. Except instead of taking your cash, they're taking your attention and your time. And honestly, I think that's way worse. There's one thing, you can always get more money. You can definitely not get more time. So they created something called variable ratio reinforcement. So every scroll, now I am 100% guilty of this too, gives you a tiny hit of dopamine, but you never know when the next good post is coming. So say you're looking at Facebook or Instagram and you just out of habit open it up and you just start scrolling, and then you see something so cute or so funny or something that just like connects with you and you're like, oh my gosh, that's me, it's so relatable. Your brain is like, oh ding, dopamine hit. So your brain starts treating your phone just like a slot machine. Just one more pull, one more scroll. And we wonder why we can't put the darn things down. So I fell for it completely. When I used to be like on my breaks at work when I was a nurse, I would just be scrolling on my phone and I would be like, I am not feeling rested. And even when our family is sitting around, I hate it when we're all looking at our phones, and it's terrible. In fact, my youngest child, who is 16, he just got his first phone and he did not want one for so long because he said he didn't want to be one of those people looking at his phone all of the time. And do you want to know the saddest thing is that the day we gave it to him, and we had to give it to him, it was just so, unfortunately in this world you actually need one, and like for jobs and stuff for as a kid, but he was scrolling at his phone, just like ignoring the conversation. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is just so tragic. And you know, a lot of these apps, they just, like I said, they use that technology. It's sick to keep you trapped. And have you ever gone on TikTok? Because friend, TikTok is crazy. I went on it, like I think like a couple years ago for my business. I was like, oh, I'm going to try to go on TikTok. I ended up being like clicking on it an hour later. I'm like, where the heck did the time go? It's weird how that one is the worst, and I'm sure it will not be very long. But sometimes I just feel like a lab rat pressing a button for like cocaine pellets, except that the pellets are videos of cute little kittens attacking little babies that turn out that they're AI after all. So let me blow your mind with some actual neuroscience though. Processing overload. Your brain, it processes 34 gigabytes of information every day. So that is like binge watching an entire Netflix series in high definition. But here is what nobody tells you. Your brain, it does not have an off switch. It just keeps processing until you force it to stop. Like our bodies are amazing. Our brains are amazing. They're like, well, if this is what we're doing and this helps us stay alive, we're just going to keep going. So when you're scrolling at the end of a long day, you're not giving your brain a break. You're making it work overtime without pay. It's like telling somebody who just ran a marathon, great job. Now here's a unicycle, go juggle some flaming torches. And so on top of that all, there's a big thing about rest. So we have been sold this massive lie, and this is like honestly from my childhood of watching The Cosby Show or like Full House at the end of a day, thinking that entertainment equals restoration. But your brain, it cannot tell the difference between work stress and scroll stress. So you're scrolling at your phone and sometimes you see things like my Instagram algorithm used to just literally, I literally used to be the happiest place on earth. I had videos of like recipes and gardens and puppies and all of these things. And now it's just, it's so much darker. So that's not good. So these things, both work and scrolling, they flood your system with cortisol, both keeping your nervous system in fight or flight mode. And the real rest is that the kind that actually it restores you, it looks completely different. Now, I'm not saying don't watch screens, hang on. But just remember, there is a crazy thing that a lot of us don't realize, and this is something that people figured out at least 3,000 years ago, probably more, when was the Old Testament? I am trying to think. And no, I'm not getting religious on you, even though I am a Christian. They did not have smartphones 3,000 years ago. However, God did say that he created the earth for the first 6 days and then he rested on the seventh. And he commanded us to as well. So there is something called the Sabbath. Now, I'm not going to get into the Sabbath too much right now. And again, I'm not going to be religious when I do, but I want to make a whole video about that because this channel is about simplifying life, minimalism, all of the things. But there is an ancient practice called Sabbath, and it's not about religion, it's about survival. Ancient cultures understood something that we have completely forgotten, that rest is not the absence of activity, it is the presence of restoration. So I need to put my tea down because I'm going to get really handsy with this part. Have you heard of the Solve It grid? The Solve It grid, which I have talked about before as a person with ADHD, I have found this mind-blowingly helpful. And you have 4 colors. We have red, yellow, green, and blue. So red is when you have something that is like you have put it off so long, it has to be done right now. So consider this something like you're doing your taxes and they're late and you're going to end up owing money if you put it off any longer, or more money, or whatever. Yellow is the stuff that has to get done that is boring. It's like managing your money and your taxes before tax season. It's boring. A lot of us don't like it. For me, if I were to compare it to my house, it would be like folding laundry and putting it away because I hate doing laundry, as many of my OG people here know. Now, blue is something that is briefly restorative. So it's like watching screens where it does feel good. It is not a lot of emotional activity. So the red is high emotion. The yellow is low emotion, but boring. And then you have got, does anybody else get telemarketing calling all the time? And then there is the blue. So low emotion, but fun, watching the YouTubes and the Netflix, and believe me, I'm not telling you to switch off my YouTube video. But then there's green, and green is high emotion, and it is giving you energy. It feels so, so good. So if we look at life this way, like maybe you see your job as yellow, it's kind of, maybe you like it, but you're like, it's a job, right? You try to stay out of the red zone as much as possible. Now, when we're coming into the rest factor, there's nothing wrong with sitting down, watching a little bit of screens, scrolling on your phone. It's fine to do that, and I do it, right? But where the money is, where the good stuff is, that is the green. That is when you are doing something that gives you life and energy and joy. Now, on my Sabbath days, I will definitely start out by watching some screens. I love watching I love watching ladies like cooking or whatever, and homesteading, all of the things. But then come 10, 11 a.m., I'm ready to do something else. Because if I were to sit any longer, that is no longer giving me energy back. That is actually stealing it, and it makes it harder to get off the couch, and then I start feeling depressed and bad about myself. So instead, I will often get up and I'll can something, I'll bake something, even like cleaning or going for a walk or something, anything that gives me some kind of like a boost. So yes, like when we're watching screens, quite often we're resting our bodies, but a big part of rest is our mind. How do you rest your mind? And for me, resting my mind also involves doing things that just feel good. So part of that is going out in the garden. Like today, it's a sunny day in October. I'm going to go out and just clean up the garden for just a little bit of time, and it's going to feel fine. I will definitely be looking at screens. I already watched the Justin Rhodes video today. But another interesting thing for me is that my sleep will not be very good if I am just watching a ton of screens. And as a perimenopausal woman, sleep is not always easy to come by. So one of the things that I recognize is getting a little bit of exercise is good. So getting exercise is rest for your brain, but not for your body. So it's kind of like, how do you find that balance between rest for the brain and for the body? So for me, a big part of it is like doing a little bit of cooking, doing a little bit of baking. Like I love baking sourdough bread. I've been buying whole grains. I've been making whole grain bread. So doing something like that is so good because a rested brain, it works better. It's like you have to take a day off. You have to take, even if you're not taking a full day off, because again, we're not talking Sabbath now, trying to keep myself on track here, but having some kind of rest time is important. And yes, like when I was doing emergency nursing, working 12 hours, so I would get up at like, say 6 a.m. I have to like be to work for 7, get home at 7, have the kids, all of the things. The house was a mess. It was before I decluttered, all of but even just half an hour to rest. Sure, maybe watching TV would be good, but maybe something better might be like talking to my husband. That is super restful. How did people back in the olden days before we have screens, how did they rest? They hung out with each other. They would read. They would cross stitch. They would do all sorts of things. So what for you would feel restful? Tell me down below. For me, it's gardening, it's baking, it's reading, it's hanging out with my family, it's going for lunch with a friend, it's going to church even. I love all of those things. Now, a lot of you might not realize this, but I took a bit of a brief vacation from this channel. I was experimenting. I think I'm just gonna take summers off from now on, but I think you're gonna really like this video. I hope something great happens for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.